Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallava Girivaradari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityanandam Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naranchayva Narottamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Ashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasluke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Jnanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschitya Dishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchakalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo, namo namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today we are reading from Caitanya Caritamrta. One moment. Adi Lila, second chapter, 43rd until 46th verse. So I will read the verses, the previous verses coming to the 46th, and then we'll chant the 46th together. So verse 43. Trityakarana Suna Shri Bhagavan Ananta Brahmana Bahu Vaikunadi Dhamma. O my Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, kindly hear my third reason. There are countless universes and fathomless transcendental Vaikunthas. Verse 44. Ite yata jivatara traikali karma tata deka shakshitumi jana sabha marma. Both in this material world and in the transcendental world, you see all these deeds of all living and big beings, in the past, present, and future. Since you are the witness of all such deeds, you know the essence of everything. Verse 45. Tomara darshane sarva jagatera stiti tumina dekhile karo nahi stiti gati. All the worlds exist because you oversee them. None can live, move, or have their being without your supervision. Narera ayana yate kara darashana tahateo haotumi mula narayana. Let's do it together. Narera ayana yate kara darashana Tahateo haotumi mula narayana Narera ayana yate karadarashana Tahateo haotumi mula narayana Narera ayana yate karadarashana Tahateo haotumi mula narayana. Gentlemen, please chant. Translation word by word. Naera, of the living beings. Ayana, the motion. Yate, since. Kara, you do. Darashana, seeing. Tahateo, therefore. How are, to me, you. Mula, original. Narayana, Narayana. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. You oversee the wanderings of all living beings. For this reason also you are the primeval Lord Narayana. Purport. Shri Krishna in his Paramatma feature lives in the hearts of all living beings, in both the transcendental and mundane creations as the Paramatma. He witnesses all actions the living beings perform in all phases of life, namely past, present, and future. Shri Krishna knows what the living beings have done for hundreds and thousands of past births. And he sees what they're doing now. Therefore, he knows the result of their present actions that will fructify in the future. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the entire cosmic situation is created as soon as he glances over the material energy. Nothing can exist without his superintendence, since he sees even the abode where the collective living beings rest. He is the original Narayana. Once again, the translation. Shri Radha Govinda Deva Ki. You oversee the wanderings of all living beings. For this reason also you are the primeval Lord Narayana. Hare Krishna. Remember Caitanya Maharaj used to tell us, when you chant the Caitanya mantra, Shri Krishna Caitanya, or the one that we chanted after Radha Madhava, he was telling us that there is the added mercy of Mahaprabhu. So when you chant these mantras, actually, even if you commit offenses, is not taken in consideration. And you're getting the special mercy in order to understand the deeper pastimes of Krishna. Otherwise, we cannot understand. And then he was giving the example when we were going out to do Harinam, how when you chant the Caitanya mantra for a while, and then you start chanting the Maha Mantra, and the ecstasy increases and everybody starts jumping even more. So I always remember that. The mercy of Mahaprabhu. And here we see in this verse, which reminds us about another famous verse from the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna explains about himself in his feature as the Upadrasta Anumanta, Upadrasta Anumanta cha, Bharta Bhokta Maheshvara, Paramatmeti Chapi Ukto, Dehesmin Purusha Para. Krishna, he is everywhere in his creation. He is present as the Paramatma in the living entities who live in the material world, but also in the spiritual world. And Paramatma is there not just in the living entities, it's in the atoms, it's in between the atoms. So you cannot avoid it. Krishna is everywhere. One time Brahmananda Prabhu came to Srila Prabhupada with this new knowledge, and he told him, okay, so Krishna is Paramatma, he's in my heart, he's in my body, in my skin, in my parts of the body, everywhere. And then He's also inside the road, inside the asphalt where we're walking. So does it mean that when I'm walking on the street, it's like Krishna is walking on Krishna? Prabhupada looked at him and he said, "You should stop taking LSD, Brahmananda." But we see in the verse, Krishna is explaining two very important functions that He exhibits with this feature. He is the overseer. He is always there watching over us. In the Upanishads, there is this famous example of the tree. There is one tree where two birds are living. There is the bird that is always looking to enjoy the fruits of his labor, basically, and eating all the juicy mangoes from the tree. Sometimes not very juicy, oftentimes. But the other fruit is there on the tree also, and it's doing nothing but just looking, and probably saying, "Oh my God, look what this other rascal is doing." Yeah. Krishna is always trying to give us direction, to do the right thing, actually. People are complaining that God is not there. God is, He has abandoned me. He doesn't give me what I want, and I'm losing my faith, and Krishna, why did you allow this to happen? But it's not true, actually. Everything that we're getting is Krishna's mercy. We're getting these bodies, we're getting air, water, prasadam. Everything is there. Sunlight, just for us to enjoy in this world. We're getting enjoyment even. Illegal enjoyment provided by Krishna. He doesn't want us to have it, but nevertheless we are stubborn. And then we're going forward, enjoying this world. And what actually happens is that there is no question of scarcity, Prabhupada explains. There's no scarcity of money, there's no scarcity of natural resources. There is abundance, actually. Mother Nature, generous, she's giving. Krishna is very generous. He came as Mahaprabhu, as the most merciful incarnation, so he's giving love of God to the most fallen, Jagais and Madais. And even to us nowadays, we're even more fallen than Jagai and Madai, because we eat cow meat. Jagai and Madai, they weren't eating cow, and so many other nefarious activities. The more Kali Yuga progresses, the more the fallen. But nevertheless, the only qualification is to not have qualification. If you don't have qualification, you're qualified for the mercy of Mahaprabhu. So how merciful is Mahaprabhu? We cannot even imagine. It's beyond our imagination. And that is our misfortune. But we try to appreciate and we try to understand. One time in the past, I was traveling the streets. I was living like a homeless guy, like an adventurous hippie, whatever you want to call it. And I was also observing what's going on the streets. Many interesting things, You have many homeless people. Many of these homeless people, they became homeless by choice, because they don't want to get involved anymore in the responsibilities of the so-called civilized life. Because it's such a great pain, Like you have to pay bills, you have to wake up, go to work, and so many things. And at one point, a sensible man says to himself, why do I have to do all these kind of things, The birds are also enjoying, the animals are also enjoying, they're not paying bills, they're not, So let me just go out and enjoy. Big artists and thinkers, philosophers, they become homeless many times, I think Plato or Socrates or some of those philosophers, they were just, living humbly, or the brahmanas, they just accept poverty voluntarily. Because, what is there to enjoy? What is there to attain so much? You just need a little bit of sunlight, water, and beg some food. But in this particular case, I was observing how there are many homeless people, they're suffering, they just abandon themselves to some kind of a vice, drinking, smoking, drugs, and even regular people who live in their homes, and they're begging, they're suffering, they're lacking. But actually, in most cases, what happens is that there is scarcity because we are misusing that which is already given to us. So I saw there are many homeless people, they have money, they're getting money, getting 20 euros, $20 sometimes. There are people who are generous, they give them money, I've seen that. And they accumulate, sometimes they can make $50, $100 a day. So imagine if you save, if you just spend for money, you have no expenses. If you spend for a little bit of food, even if you're lavish, you still save some money. So money is always coming our side. There is the famous Python yoga in the Bhagavatam. The yogi who was living like a python, because he realized, according to my karma, I will receive whatever I deserve. Whatever I don't deserve, I won't receive, so let me just stay in one place. So sometimes food was coming, sometimes wasn't coming. Sometimes he was fat, sometimes he was skinny. According to karma, everything comes. Not advisable for us, we're not there. It's a very highly elevated consciousness. But this is what happens, Karma comes to us. Sometimes, you're hungry, you have to fast. Even in the temple, somebody forgot to cook the breakfast. What to do? This is the arrangement of Paramatma. Today it's like this. You eat some few apples that remain from breakfast, and that's it. Sometimes lavish. Shri Gopal Prabhu comes and cooks a lavish feast, very tasty malpuas and so forth. And you're like, how do I even deserve this? But there is a background in the past where we have been working, so we're getting the result of our past activities. And those who have scarcity is because they are misusing, they're just spending their money, they're losing it in completely nefarious, completely useless activities, in gambling, in intoxication, in all these kind of things. So then, why is life so cruel? Where is God? Just like that famous example, the person who was, the village that God flooded, a great flood came, and the person went on the roof and he was praying to God, oh God, please help me, save me. And then a boat came, come on, jump. No, God will save me. No problem. And they left. And God, please save me. And then a helicopter came. Come on, come with us, we'll save you. No, God will save me. Then they left, and then the water came above the house, and he died. And then when he went to the heavens, he asked God, where were you? Why didn't you save me? What are you talking about? I send you a boat, I send you a helicopter. So this is our misfortune. We're misusing our intelligence. Krishna gives even intelligence. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. Many times he's giving us intelligence, what to do, what not to do. Do you know how people, actually everybody in this world has some understanding of Paramatma. They don't call it Paramatma or Super Soul. This is some kind of a very esoteric term. It's like Paramatma, like Super Soul. What is this? But people have a very common way of denoting this principle. Do you know, Connor? You ever heard about what?
Oftentimes, people talk about Paramatma as being this inner intuition,
Yes.
inner guidance,
Exactly.
voice.
the inner voice. Yes. So Krishna, he comes as a spiritual master externally, as our initiating spiritual master, as our Shiksha Guru. But internally, Krishna is also present as the Chaitya Guru, as the Paramatma feature, which is giving us guidance. And that guidance is oftentimes referred as this very esoteric sound, vibration, this intuition, sometimes gut feeling, something happens. The mother, she just thinks about her child. Oh no, something is happening. And then she goes up and the child is almost falling from the bed. Or so many instances like this. Conscience. Don't you have conscience? Why are you doing these stupid things? So I'm pretty sure 100% of the people who are present in this room have done something wrong in their life. And on top of that, have felt some remorseful feelings inside. So why are we feeling remorseful? This is nothing else but Krishna speaking to us inside. Because he doesn't want us to do stupid things. And this is his way of letting us know. And because we have decided to forget Krishna, we have decided to completely turn our head to the other side. And this is the only way that he can communicate with us, by sending us some remote impulses. And the sad story is that many times people who live in this world, they have separated themselves so much from the source, from the directions of Paramatma, that very, very difficult for them. They don't hear this voice. The voice is almost non-existent. And when the voice becomes so numbed down, so non-existent, then that is the greatest suffering for the living entity. And therefore we're observing all these nefarious movements in the world, these attempts to solve the problem through genocide and all these completely demoniac and completely merciless activities. This is because there is such a great disconnection from this Paramatma feature of the Lord, which is our eternal well-wisher, bird after bird, always there, always trying to tell us. Actually, every day, since the time we wake up in the morning up to the time when we go to sleep, and even in our sleep, Krishna is always trying to tell us in every single decision that we're making. Don't do this, do this. Don't do this, do that. But we're failing again and again to do that. And then in this way we're wasting energy, because then we're bringing ourselves mental anxiety, fear. And these are all products of our disconnection with Krishna. Because actually the self-realized soul, he doesn't eat much. Prabhupada, he wasn't eating much, he wasn't sleeping much. Because you have a constant connection, a constant flow of spiritual energy. The Krishna consciousness means completely self-realized person, and you're just serving all the time. But when we do mistakes, we're actually wasting our energy, and then we're looking for enjoyment in this world, because there is no satisfaction. If we're not established in that sacred relationship, then there is no satisfaction for the soul. And then what the soul does is he is looking for satisfaction in this material world. But the interesting thing is that the more the spirit soul tries to satisfy himself in this world, the more he becomes dissatisfied. So it's a very interesting phenomenon. It is explained how lust is like a blazing fire in the forest, and the more you throw in it, the more it blazes and becomes bigger and bigger. So, fish out of the water, this is our position. It's incompatible. It's not that spirituality, it's just one of the things, Paramatma is there, spirituality, I consult him from time to time, and then I have my family, and then I have my work experience, and I have my neighborhood experience with my friends, and then I travel, and so many things are there in my life, variegatedness, spirituality also, religion. But no, actually, spirituality is reality. We have to understand that this is the prime activity in our life. This is the essence of human life. It's not just one of the many things that we do in the world. And we might understand it intellectually, but then how are we acting? Are we really acting in that way? Are we really trying to understand the guidance of our spiritual master and without and within? Because if we really commit to spiritual life, then everything will change. Then we will become serious about the guidance of Paramatma. It is explained how we are so attached to the things in this world that we are holding them like hugging them like a tree, and we're saying, Krishna, please help me. I have this attachment. Please, but we're like hugging it. Please, hugging it more and more. And Krishna is giving his directions. Krishna is telling us, don't do this, don't be a rascal. But then we don't want to hear. Imagine, sometimes when we go out to distribute books, Pandava Prabhu, he was mentioning this very common phenomena. When you give people the book and they're like, oh yeah, thank you. You're like, no, give some donation, please, something. They don't want to give donation, and they're like, what? What did you just say? Sorry? No, please give some donation. What? As if he doesn't understand English or something, are you alright? Are you dyslexic or schizophrenic? So when we are attached, when we hear the things that we are supposed to do, we kind of start dodging the balls. So many times devotees, they give us a direction, and Paramatma is giving us direction, and we're like, again, what, Krishna, what did you say? Okay, no problem. And then you do again your own thing that you were planning from before. We don't want to listen because we are attached. So this is our situation. We have so many attachments, and we are pretty much embracing them so much, and we want Krishna to help us. But then, how can a person help us if we don't want to be helped? So there is this famous saying that God helps those who help each other. So Krishna is always there. He's making 10 steps when we make one step. But it has to come from us. We have to try to cultivate this prayerful mood, this introspection, willingness to listen. Because Krishna will continue telling us. He will never get tired. He's tireless. He's been doing it since billions and trillions of lifetimes, repeating the same old thing. Just do the right thing, do the right thing. Don't do this, do that. Don't do this, do that. So it's up to us. Just like Dhruva, he was meditating in Paramatma, and then at one point Paramatma disappeared, and he was completely shocked. He opened his mouth. He opened his eyes, and Krishna was in front of him. He manifested. So in the same manner, the process works. Haridas Thakur, he was being beaten up in 24 marketplaces, and he felt nothing because Paramatma was there. Paramatma came to help his dear devotee. Prabhupada, one time he was doing one interview, and the interviewer was asking Prabhupada, so how do you choose your leaders in your movement? Prabhupada said straightforward, he said, Krishna tells me, that's how I do it. And then there was Brahmananda or somebody else, he said, oh yeah, what he means is that, in the scriptures, there are the directions, and this is the quality of a leader, Vacho Vegam and so forth. Prabhupada said, interrupted him, and he said, no, Krishna directly tells me who to pick up as a leader. So Prabhupada was in direct connection with Krishna. Many times there was proof of that. He even said, I didn't wrote this purport, it was Krishna wrote them. I am taking pleasure and continuously getting illuminated by them, by reading my own purports, which are written by Krishna, is what Prabhupada was explaining. So Krishna is there, always there, ready to give directions, ready to save us from suffering. It's just our choice. This is what I wanted to share with you, dear devotees. If there are some comments, some reflections, we have plenty of time for discussion. Please reciprocate. Some feedback.
Hare Krishna, thank you for class. How might one discriminate between...
How what?
How might one discriminate between the voice of Paramatma and the voice of the mind or the ego that's certain things?
That's a good question.
How do you discriminate between those two? Because somebody could claim that they're following Paramatma, but actually be following this.
Yes.
It's just mind.
Yes.
Like insisting on.
Very important question. Yes. We have seen many episodes where devotees, or maybe so-called devotees, at one point they just start receiving direct instructions by Krishna, and then what they do some nonsense, or a chain reactions of nonsense. It is explained in the scriptures. I don't remember exactly the verse, but basically one can have a clear understanding of the direction of Paramatma when he becomes on the level of bhava. Before that, most probably the mind, but maybe not. So what do? Can we trust Paramatma? Is it Paramatma? Is it our mind? How to know it? So we cannot completely rely on this soul direction, because, like I was saying, our mind is pretty much absorbed in material consciousness, and there are so many misunderstandings and conditionings, contaminations in our heart. So sometimes we might feel it's Paramatma, but it's not. So that's a very, very relevant question. So the verse is explaining that until you're on the level of Bhava Bhakti, on the very highly elevated stage, which is just before Prema Bhakti, pure devotional service, until then, you're screwed. But you can verify, you can check. That's why Krishna, he manifests himself in many forms. Krishna came as the merciful, favorable wind of the Vedic scriptures. Sadhu, Shastra, and Guru. So we can always verify. If you have a gut feeling, and then if the Guru is telling you something similar, and then you find it in the purports of Srila Prabhupada, and in the purports of the other acharyas, then most probably that is the right thing to do. So this is how we verify. This is how we can have flawless knowledge and direction. And still many times we will choose again to turn our head, like I was explaining, because we are very attached. But nevertheless, we have to continue to apply ourselves to the process and follow this formula. And the gut feeling will also be there. Many times you hear so many stories from Sankirtan devotees who got inspired from within to go somewhere and to give a book, and then something magical happened. One Bhagavatam said distributed, or a guy enters into a hotel, he just has this gut feeling. He enters into the hotel, he speaks with the manager. How can we have a Bhagavad Gita in the whole room? He's like, sure, yeah, I'll buy 50 Bhagavad Gitas, we have 50 rooms. There you go. Sankirtan day over. Paramatma always inspiring us from within. So when we place ourselves in the proper mood, with sincerity, we can hear. But we cannot have complete, we cannot rely on this completely until we reach that stage. But then we verify with the other devotees and the scriptures. In this way, we have the complete picture. Is it enough? Somebody else, Prabhu?
That's also, I guess, the function of chanting the Maha Mantra, that frees your mind, clears that.
Yeah.
There's that kind of constant contamination, gives you like some breathing room to be able to hear the dictation of the Paramatma. And then I was thinking that the other thing is that generally if you want to do something that's contrary to what you know is pleasing to Krishna, and all the different instructions that we've heard, you know that's the mind kind of dragging you away. And then it's difficult, you have that choice at that time to kind of go with the mind, or to stay strong. And then I was thinking also in the Gita, there's a verse where I can't remember the Sanskrit, but it says that for one whose mind is controlled, the super soul is already reached.
Yeah.
But he has attained tranquility. For such a man, happiness and distress, heat and cold, honor and dishonor all the same. So that the chanting of the Maha Mantra is like, that's why it's the only process in Kali Yuga, because it's the only thing that can actually give us that space to actually be able to hear and appreciate the super soul.
Thank you so much. That's a very, very important verse that we have to know.
Actually, I want to expand on that. About how is it exactly that Paramatma communicates with us? Is it we're hearing some kind of voice and I think I heard something. Sure, that was Paramatma responding. But what is actually the function of Krishna's communication with us? And I'm thinking about that because Krishna also says in Gita that he is the intelligence. He says, from me comes remembrance, forgetfulness, and also intelligence. And he says, like you said, Dhamma Buddhi Yoga from Yama. So as we practice, he's giving us intelligence. There's an interesting purport in the second canto where Srila Prabhupada is talking about one of the proofs, you see one of the proofs for the existence of the super soul is the intelligence itself. Is actually a proof of the existence of the super soul, because some people have intelligence and some people don't have intelligence. And it's like, you can't convince someone. Sometimes you see on one distribution, you see in many situations, you can try to convince someone of something that seems very obvious to you, but they actually just won't get it. They won't be able to understand it. Like it's with the donations, right? This person, you're asking for a donation, but they just can't understand it. So, as much as you might argue with someone, you can't give them the intelligence to understand the problem.
Exactly.
Actually, only Krishna can give that intelligence. So, is it true to say that Krishna communicates with us through intelligence, communicates with us through our intelligence, because Krishna is manifesting intelligence, the super soul is giving us that intelligence. And if he is, then the intelligence he gives us is only dependent on the desires that we have. I mean, so it's all ultimately on us. If we have a certain desire, then Krishna will give us intelligence according to that desire. Like, for example, it says he to the atheists. He gives them their Maya Pritaka, and their intelligence is stolen by Maya, right? So the atheists, they have a desire to forget Krishna, so he gives them the intelligence to be atheists.
Exactly.
Whereas the devotees, if we have the desire to know Krishna, moment to moment, then he gives us intelligence to know it. Whereas if our desire becomes fruitive moment to moment, then in that same way, he'll give us intelligence to to pursue our own selfish needs, and then we'll find at some point, oh shoot, you got bewildered, you got duped, because your desire was off. It was not that Krishna was giving you wrong information, or mind was giving you wrong information. Your desire was off. Maybe you could expand on that.
Yeah, you explained it pretty well yourself. You gave so many examples. There's this famous notion, this world is made by the cheaters and the cheated. So the cheaters are getting intelligence how to cheat, and those who want to be cheated, they're getting intelligence on how to go to the cheaters to be cheated. So, and those who want to approach Krishna, they're given intelligence how to progress on the path of devotional service. And there's one famous interview where they're walking with Srila Prabhupada, maybe even here in New York, I don't remember. And Prabhupada is explaining capitalism means these capitalists, they are taking advantage of those who are less intelligent rascals, and they're exploiting them. Why? Because they have superior intelligence, so they can function in the world on a higher platform, so to say. So they can do more stuff. And why? Because in their previous lives they have committed some pious activities. So piety is the product of a better intelligence and a better life. But those who are lower, they don't know. They're uneducated or just don't have the capacity. So they're being exploited by those who are above them. And then those who are above them, who are exploiting the lower ones, next life they'll be there also, and they'll be exploited by somebody else. So yeah, everybody gets what he deserves, and the Paramatma feature is inspiring everybody to act accordingly, just like you also explained in variety of examples.
Actually, I think it's interesting as well, like you said, that we know this problem, this one actually able to be floating touch, and then also like Prabhu was saying that when the mind is really controlled, the super soul is already reached. So what does this mean? That's an interesting thing.
It means that you have subdued the wanderings of the mind, because the mind, the original state of the mind is sattva. If you read in the Bhagavatam, in the creation it is explained how the mind comes out from the sattvic element. The natural state of it is peacefulness, stillness. But then because it's agitated by intelligence, which is in rajas, and the senses, which are product of tamas, enjoying the world, enjoying that matter, this is bringing the tamasic element in the mind. So our mind is constantly either hankering for the future or lamenting for the past. Nashochati nakankshuti. No lamentation, no hankering. So this is the symptom of the self-realized soul. Why? Because he is in the present. Even the modern so-called yogis, New Age, everybody's like the present, Om, Zen. We are also advocating the same philosophy, but the complete understanding is that the present, the sattva, is when you are present in this moment in connection with Krishna. Because there is nothing else, there is no other reality than your relationship with Krishna. The relationship between the living entity and the supreme living entity in this moment. So because of the conditioning of the mind is either in planning for the future, for some phantasmagoria which is yet to happen, or lamenting for something which has already happened in the past. There is no factual existence of the past nor the future. So whenever a person has controlled his mind, has purified all these desires and all these false conceptions which are coming from our previous situation, and when he becomes established in sattva, in perceiving Krishna now, then that relationship grows and the higher taste becomes more and more present. And this is what purification of the mind, of consciousness means, up to the point where you become closer and closer to Krishna. And then at one point you can also see Krishna and speak with him in the same manner. So, I don't know if this is enough. Anything else? Mataji?
Just briefly, it seems like Srila Prabhupada's our case study because he was, in every moment he was spontaneously dealing according to Krishna's direction. So he'd deal perfectly with individuals in different situations. He'd give one instruction to one person in one situation, a different one in the same situation as someone else, totally aware of present reality and also very innocent as well, like very innocent.
Completely innocent.
Yeah, almost like childlike, and then able to be very stern and then turn that off immediately.
Yeah.
So that,
We're very fortunate to still have the association of many of the direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada, who you can see, even Hansarupa Prabhu, they've been completely blown away by Prabhupada's presence, even though for a few moments, for a few instances, because it's just extraordinary, how can a person do all these things, all these aspects to his character, Like everybody perceives Srila Prabhupada according to his own, to his own perception. But Prabhupada, he was just this ocean of compassion and ocean of such a transcendental personality. He was like getting angry one moment and then being super peaceful and playful the other moment. And just somebody was mentioning how he was very impressed with Srila Prabhupada when he was associating with him. The thing that impressed him mostly, that he was completely present. When he was speaking, when he was listening to you, he was there completely. So imagine how much we are distracted by our minds, how much the lens of our consciousness is polluted. We are present, but we are not present, basically, because we are not pure devotee. We're not. At least I'm speaking for myself. But extraordinary. And 9 o'clock came. And now the extraordinary breakfast. Arriba!
His Grace Matanga Prabhu ki.
Caitanya Caritamrta ki, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.